For more than a century, the East Wing of the White House stood quietly beside one of the world's most recognizable buildings. Not as famous as the West Wing, but just as important. This is the untold story of how the East Wing was built, rebuilt, expanded, criticized, celebrated, and ultimately demolished. The East Wing, heart of the White House. The story begins not with a wing, but with a terrace. President Thomas Jefferson added elegant colonnaded terraces to both sides of the White House. But these were open-air spaces, not enclosed buildings. Under President Andrew Jackson, running water was piped through these terraces for washing and, eventually, for the very first bathing rooms in the White House. 1834, first piped water installation in the White House. The East Terrace was removed in 1866, replaced for years by a sprawling greenhouse that dominated the East grounds. Still, no East Wing existed, not yet. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt initiated one of the biggest transformations in White House history. Architect Charles Follen McKim designed not only the West Wing, but also the very first East Wing. This building wasn't designed for the First Lady or for the President. It was designed for guests. The East Wing, 1902, entranced for visitors, cloakrooms for events. The main feature was a massive cloakroom. During large social gatherings, it accommodated hundreds of coats, hats, and carriages. It was a functional space, simple, modest, yet essential. Then came the year 1942. America was at war. President Franklin D. Roosevelt authorized a secretive expansion and complete remodel of the East Wing. Beneath the East Wing, crews quietly built what would become the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, the POC, a secure underground bunker for emergencies. The new East Wing above served partly as a cover story for the construction. POC, Presidential Emergency Operations Center, built under the East Wing during World War II. The White House Family Theater soon took shape inside the new wing. Over the decades, it would host private screenings, speeches, rehearsals, and first family movie nights. And slowly, the East Wing became the professional home for the First Lady of the United States. In 1977, Rosalind Carter became the first First Lady to officially maintain her own office within the East Wing. For decades, the East Wing was the engine behind White House social life. Invitations, calligraphy, guest lists, family messages, public responses, all crafted here. White House Social Office, correspondence, calligraphy, event preparation. Visitors to the White House typically entered through the East Wing's visitor's office, moving through the wood-paneled lobby decorated with portraits of presidents and first ladies. They continued through the garden room, then along the East Colonnade, with a view of the Jacqueline Kennedy Garden. They walked past the Family Theater and finally stepped into the historic ground floor of the executive residence. The East Wing was intimate, elegant, ceremonial. A place of warmth, a place of history. If the West Wing is the mind of a nation, the East Wing is the heart. Betty Ford. In July 2025, the White House revealed its most ambitious expansion plan in generations. A brand new East Wing, anchored by a vast White House State Ballroom. Planned ballroom capacity, initially 650, later expanded to 999. Cost estimate, $200 million. Builder, Clark Construction. President Donald Trump publicly stated it would respect the existing building, insisting it wouldn't damage or alter the historic structure. But then everything changed. On October 20th, 2025, without any formal review from the National Capital Planning Commission, demolition of the East Wing began. The move shocked preservationists and political leaders across the country. October 20th, 2025, demolition begins unannounced. By the next day, major heritage organizations objected, warning that the proposed ballroom would overwhelm the White House's historic design. Yet the demolition continued. Fast. On October 23rd, just 3 days after the first blow, the entire East Wing was gone. The East Colonnade, where presidents and first ladies once walked daily, was gone. The White House Family Theater, gone. A century of history erased in under 72 hours. Criticism erupted from all directions. Former White House officials, historians, senators, and governors. Some called the demolition a vanity project. Others called it an abomination. YouGov poll, 53% disapprove, 24% approve. A public opinion poll showed that a majority of Americans opposed the demolition. Meanwhile, ASECO, the demolition firm, faced intense backlash, its website and Instagram vanishing from the internet shortly afterward. But the White House dismissed the criticism as fake outrage, even suggesting political opponents were simply jealous. The East Wing was more than a structure. It was a witness to world wars, presidential families, American traditions, and historic moments. Its demolition marks the end of an era and the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter in White House history. The East Wing, 1902 to 2025, a century of history, lost and waiting to be rebuilt.